Hi everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or wanting to revisit an old classic, let us be your guide through the infinite list of TV shows.
So come join us every Friday as we discuss the pilot for a TV show while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storylines.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, where your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. We are recording the day we are releasing this. We are kind of making a habit of this. But I mean, it works, but we need to get ahead of some episodes.
Yeah, it's just crazy enough. Like my work schedule, even though I'm not traveling, it's just like all of the end of the year reports. I have my annual review is also due today, which I've done about 90% of it. I have like one big section and one small section left to do. We had a night in New Orleans. We have Wicked coming up, birthday dinners, Thanksgiving, a Biloxi trip. So it all just sort of comes up upon us, and we're all of a sudden like, and we're recording again on a Friday.
And it's Friday, and we're recording. We didn't have to wake up early. Well, I didn't have to wake up early. I know you had to wake up early to do your work stuff. But yeah, we are continuing our month of doing shows with first names in the title.
Yes.
And today we are doing a show that neither one of us had seen. Apparently, someone on my Prime account watched the first 5 episodes of the show, and it wasn't me and it wasn't you. So I'm kind of wondering if like maybe like back in the day when Ian was watching Maggie or something. I'm always like, every now and then we'll watch a show on Prime because the Prime account is on our TV. The Prime account is my account, and anytime we'll watch something that I'm positive neither one of us has ever seen, and there's like 2 episodes watched, I'm like, who watched this? Like, you know, I'm always kind of curious, but
because I will be honest, I rarely go on Prime as a streaming first choice. It's usually Netflix, Hulu, Paramount or Peacock. But
I usually go to YouTube first thing, but yeah.
But I have been going to Prime a little bit because they have some good movies on there.
They have a lot of great movies on there, yeah.
But this was absolutely not one I had watched, or much less 5 episodes of, so I know that wasn't me.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't me because I would have remembered halfway through the first episode like I always do when I don't remember watching a show, and then halfway through the first episode I'm like, oh, I have seen the show. Oh, yeah. I've seen this entire first season. I've done that before. So today we are doing a show neither one of us has ever seen, and it's called Penny Dreadful. It actually came out a while ago. I'd always heard of it, but I'm also positive that there was a movie called Penny Dreadful, and it had Rachel Miner and Mimi Rogers in it.
Oh, wow.
And it was, I don't remember what it was about, but it was like, so there used to be these movies that would come out every year, and they were called the After Dark. I think it was called After Dark, 8 Films to Die For. And it would be these like independent films that would be released by this After Dark production company. And there was one movie called Penny Dreadful.
Oh, okay.
And I always thought that it was a connection to it, but I didn't realize where the term Penny Dreadful originally came from. So you'll find out what this show is about in a second, but Penny Dreadful was a term for horror books back in the 19th century because they would cost a penny and they were horror, so people would call them Penny Dreadfuls, which is actually kind of cool, but I never knew that until I looked up the stuff. So we got a lot to talk about, and we got a lot of stuff to do today.
A lot.
So we're going to record this, and we're going to go do our stuff today. So Anna's going to do what she always does and give us some episode and series information.
Penny Dreadful, Night Work. Penny Dreadful was a British-American horror drama that premiered on Showtime and the UK Sky Channel on May 11th, 2014, and ended on June 19th, 2016. Literally, I think that was like a couple of days after you and I met in person.
That would be it.
The series ran for 3 seasons and had a total of 27 episodes. The series was created by John Logan, a screenwriter who is best known for writing Gladiator, The Aviator, Sweeney Todd, Skyfall, Spectre, and Alien Covenant. Ooh, my fave.
I know.
The series was also executive produced by Sam Mendes, who frequently worked with Logan on the recent James Bond films, but is probably best known for directing American Beauty, for which he won an Oscar for Best Directing. The pilot was written by Logan and was directed by J.A. Bayona, who recently directed Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, my fave. Penny Dreadful takes place in Victorian London in 1891 and unites popular characters from 19th century horror or fantasy fiction such as Dorian Gray and Victor Frankenstein. The group of characters come together to fight supernatural forces to save their loved ones. The series stars Reeve Carney as Dorian Gray, a charming man who is also immortal. Timothy Dalton, speaking of James Bond films,
right,
as Sir Malcolm Murray, an explorer on a quest to save his remaining family members. Eva Green as Vanessa Ives, a mysterious and determined heroine who will stop at nothing to defeat evil forces. Rory Kinnear as the creature created by Victor Frankenstein. Billie Piper as Bronna Croft, an Irish immigrant trying to run from her past. Danny Sapani as Sembene, a longtime ally of Murray's.
Also was the probation officer in Misfits and our guy from Harlots.
Harry Treadway as Victor Frankenstein, an arrogant scientist who is obsessed with the barrier between life and death. And Josh Hartnett as Ethan Chandler, an American gunman who is hired by Malcolm and Vanessa to help rescue Murray's daughter from a mysterious creature. Patti LuPone and the late Helen McCrory would join the cast later on. All the characters in the series are either a direct adaptation from the 19th century horror fiction, such as Dorian Gray and Victor Frankenstein, while other characters are loose interpretations, such as Vanessa Ives, who is based on Lucy from Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Sir Malcolm Murray, who is loosely based on Alan Quatermain. I totally got that. Like, that was crazy, because now reading this, I was like, right, yeah, he totally reminds me of that, like, explorer.
Literal, like, explores Africa and stuff like that. Yeah,
the
same exact thing.
Yeah, the main character in H. Rider Haggard's King Solomon's Mine. Penny Dreadful has received mostly positive reviews. Critics often praise the show for its superb cast, accurate costume and set design, and for having well-written and unique storylines. The series was nominated for several Creative Arts Primetime Emmys for makeup, production design, and visual effects. Although the series isn't necessarily a household name, it has a large cult following of fans of horror and classic horror fiction, and even produced a spin-off, Penny Dreadful, City of Angels, which lasted only one season. You can currently watch the series on Paramount Plus and Prime Video.
Yeah, so I had no idea what the show was about, and as soon as I saw the premise for it, I was like, oh, this is a show. I can't believe this is a show that, like, I never got a hold of, or I never even, like, tried to watch. I mean, this is totally something that is both up both of our alleys. Like, I feel like this is a show that we both would have watched had we known about it when it came out.
So was this on Prime Video back in 2014, or was it more Showtime?
I think it was on, it premiered on Showtime.
Yeah, because I
didn't have Showtime.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say that's probably why you didn't catch it then.
Yeah, I didn't have Showtime. And then the Sky Channel, that's the same. So I think they had the same deal as, like, a Discovery of Witches, because I remember Sky Channel. I still don't remember if we actually did a Discovery of Witches for an episode. I know we were going to, and then we didn't end up. I don't know if we ended up releasing it or not. I honestly don't remember. It was so long ago. So, because that would have been January. I think we chose that over Mayfair Witches. I don't remember, but so I have read. I mean, I don't know if you've read all of those, like, classic horror fictions from back in the day, the Frankensteins, the Portrait of Dorian Gray, Dracula, all those, but I have, and I was really excited to watch this show. And I mean, we could talk about what we thought about it later on, but yeah, I was very intrigued. It's a very interesting premise. It's basically like 19th century horror fiction Avengers.
It is. Yeah. That was kind of it. And I don't know, I guess, would it be before the Avengers?
Long before the Avengers,
yeah. So it was kind of a unique concept of them all kind of coming together. So, yeah, I did like that.
What are some of your favorite, like, horror fiction novels, if you have any?
I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, I can't think off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, like all the Stephen Kings, if that's what you know,
it's horror fiction.
Yeah, those were the ones that I grew up with. I mean, I think I've mentioned before that my mom was always pretty liberal about TV, movies, and books. So, like, I think she always felt like if you're reading something, that's a good thing. So, I mean, I read from Judy Blume to Stephen King as a tween.
Right.
So
That was
I got cast-offs of my brother, so he would read Stephen King, and then I would take them and then read them myself. But, I mean, in current time, it's not a genre that I read a lot, but I have read, like, the classics of, like, Dracula and you know, some of those, but I think what I do like them probably more in, like, movies and TV.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so what are some of your favorite horror movies? I'm sure we've talked about this before, but
well,
there's
going
always a list.
with the genre of the ones that are here, I love, like, from, I mean, it's not necessarily of Frankenstein and Dracula, but I love things like From Hell. Mm-hmm. I am definitely a big Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Made a Jack the Ripper reference.
Yes, they did.
So
they did.
Counts. And I made a From Hell reference. I think 3 different times while watching it.
I do love. I know it got semi-panned for various reasons, but I do love the Bram Stoker's Dracula with Winona Ryder, Sadie Frost as Mina.
Was it panned?
It was in the sense of some of the casting choices, like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get on board with that casting choice.
I didn't mind it. It was just hard at the time not to see him as, like, Ted.
Right.
You know, so he was Ted, right?
Yeah.
I did enjoy the recent Nosferatu that we went to see with Skarsgård. I don't know if it's going to go down in, like, the history of my favorites ever.
Right.
But I did like it. Obviously, Interview with a Vampire, Total New Orleans, Anne Rice, any of those. TV shows, I will go and say something like Coven, Asylum. I know those are like horror TV. In fact, I think on my Facebook memories today, yes, I'm still on Facebook, a bunch of Coven and Asylum stuff came up.
Oh, yeah.
That was happening.
From American Horror Story.
Yeah, from American Horror Story.
I love that. That's a great show.
I will also go down and say Twilight and the Taylor Swift, the Franks SNL
Firelight.
skit. Yes, Firelight.
Yeah, that was kind of my intro to Taylor Swift. I didn't really know who Taylor Swift was.
That was the best. I mean, it was freaking
She does a great Kristen Stewart.
Yeah, so I mean, there are probably so many more to choose from in the genre of, like, a main character of, like, Dracula, Frankenstein, the werewolf. I mean, you know, we could talk about Trick or Treat and the segment of the Little Red Riding Hood werewolves.
You don't need to convince me to have a conversation about Trick or Treat. That's like one of my favorite movies.
That is obviously, you know, my favorite scene of that. American Werewolf in London is obviously one of my absolute go-tos, and also taught me never go off the path of when you're on a trip. But yeah, what about you?
I mean, you know, that is such a giant category for me. I absolutely love anything and everything horror, whether it's a novel, a TV show, a movie. But if we're going to kind of stay in the realm of, like, maybe like 19th century, or maybe stay in the realm of, like, vampire, werewolf, that kind of stuff. Let's see, God, just like so many just came rushing through my brain. I would say if we're talking about novels, Stephen King is always such a standard, but I began my love for horror began like a lot of 90s kids reading Goosebumps and reading Fear Street, also R.L. Stine, and Ghost of Fear Street, which was like a spinoff. And I loved all that, but then my mom read Stephen King, so like you with your brother, I would kind of read whatever novels that my mom had, because she was a lot of Stephen King, and although it's not horror, a lot of John Grisham. Those are kind of the two main authors that I that was my transition into reading like adult books, even though I was like 10 or 11 and probably far too young to be reading these books because I probably didn't understand half of them, but I read them anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I specifically remember reading Carrie. It was the C's. That's why I always remember. It was Carrie, Cujo, and Christine. I always remember reading those 3 books, and that kind of opened my mind to like, oh, that there is this whole world of horror that I have no idea about. Obviously, I love It. I mean, that's just like that's such an easy answer for me. And then I mean, you have like, speaking of vampires, you have like Salem's Lot, which great book, great original movie. The remake was okay. The one with Lewis Pullman, it was all right, but like the original Salem's Lot like scared the shit out of me. Like it actually really, really freaked me out.
Just that like creature. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was just so
it was very
vivid.
Like I love the because the original Nosferatu from 1922. So for those of you who don't know, the original Nosferatu, I think a lot of people realized this when the new one came out. It's a blatant ripoff of Dracula. I mean, like they're not even. It's not even like trying to not be, because back in 1922 they were trying to get the rights to make a Dracula movie and they couldn't get the rights. So then they made Nosferatu and they just kind of changed like the names. They didn't make Count Orlok like this, like alluring, seductive. They made him horrific looking, and they made him even more horrific looking in the remake. But the original Nosferatu, the original Count Orlok, I remember watching that movie. I don't remember how old I was. It was a late night watch, like a lot of old horror movies that I watched. It came on cable, that came on network television at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. And then I watched the original Nosferatu, and then I really couldn't sleep. And I don't know what Max Schreck, I don't know if he ever did another movie, but it was like he was Count Orlok. I mean, like it was like he embodied that role. He was like, I'm gonna chew up every bit of scenery I possibly can, and it scared the crap out of me. It's a silent film, so in order for that to happen, for like a modern kid to be scared by a silent film, it has to be pretty freaky.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if I would want to rewatch it ever, like the original one. I don't know if I could. Like,
I don't think I've ever watched it.
I don't know if I could sit through it because it freaked me out so much. Maybe now that I'm like much older, it might, but now that it's like 30 years later, it might not scare me. But
so how old were you? About 10?
I was about 10 or 11.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
This was kind of before I had cable, and this is when
just random.
I just watched stuff on network TV, and I found so many random aspects. That's how I discovered Last American Virgin. That's how I discovered that's how I discovered Little Darlings. Like that's how I discovered so many random movies, horror and non-horror. Night of the Hunter, which is a fantastic film from the 50s. Anyone who's ever never seen that movie, go watch Night of the Hunter. It's such a good movie. Anyway, see, listen to me. I could talk about horror movies all day. But I would say book-wise, I love Dante's Inferno. That's like one of my favorite books of all time. I remember I was reading that when we met, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or I think I had read it, maybe.
We had to read that in high school.
Yeah,
so.
I see. And I remember we read Frankenstein in high school, and we read The Portrait of Dorian Gray in high school, which was why like this pilot was very like, oh, I remember reading all these and loving all of these.
Yeah.
But horror TV, I mean, American Horror Story will always go down. Coven, the first 4. And then I loved Roanoke, and then Apocalypse is probably my favorite season.
Yeah.
I love that season because it just brings all of the seasons
together.
It's just a giant crossover. Okay, so I kind of made the joke about this being like a 19th century horror Avengers, and it kind of got me thinking. And I don't know if you've written any down or if you have any off the top of your head, but I have. So let's take maybe 4 or 5 characters from fiction to form your own dream team to fight evil forces. The only addendum that I'm adding to this is no comic book characters, because that feels too easy.
Okay.
Because, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So do you have...
I have 3.
Okay, and I'm going to have to...
I have Elphaba Throp.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think, like, actually just yesterday or a couple days ago, I don't know if you saw that Ariana, they were in Singapore.
I saw that.
And some fan came rushing up to Ariana, and Cynthia Erivo went full Elphaba on them, and she was there before the bodyguards were there. So go Cynthia Erivo protecting her little Ari. But I think she also has the wizardry and the power, so she could help take on evil forces. I have Arya Stark from the Game of Thrones series.
That's a great one.
I mean, she's my girl. And then my third one is from the Hunger Games series, of course, Katniss Everdeen. I just went all girls. I could probably find some men as well, but I just picked those three. They're kind of current.
Yeah.
And I love all of them. And those were all things that I've been very into and love. What about you?
Yeah, Arya would be a good one. Elphaba, that's amazing. I don't even go to like
the book. Yeah, that it was a book first. Yeah.
Well, number one, I have 11 from Stranger Things. I mean, literally anyone from Stranger Things, but like I will specifically just say 11. I almost said Erica from Stranger Things, just as my like enforcer, but yeah.
She'll take you down.
Speaking of It, I have Ben Hanscom from It.
Aww.
He's very intelligent. He's very like, he becomes an architect. So in my mind, he's like very organized. He's like the blueprint guy, very smart, very like meticulous. And then I have Dean Winchester from Supernatural. That is Jensen Ackles' character. He's a little bit more of like like I said, like the enforcer. And those are the three that I have. I wish I would have prepared a little bit better for that question, but those are the ones that I have. And I mean, like I had two more in my head, and then I just completely drew a blank because I was writing it down, and I just completely drew a blank. But yeah, I think 11 was like the first person I thought of. I was just like 11 with her powers, to be very specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe that would be my team. I'm sure I'm going to think of more as we do this episode.
Gotcha.
All right, so let's go ahead.
Let's do this last one.
It was going to be a part of the
plot
summary.
Okay. All right.
Because it's a part of the plot summary.
Gotcha.
Penny Dreadful plot summary. A mother is going to the bathroom in the middle of the night only to be ripped through a window by an unseen creature. Her young daughter wakes up and leaves the bedroom only to find something horrific in the hallway. Later, we learn that the woman had been ripped to shreds and dismembered, and they showed it, and boy, was she dismembered.
Yes.
Another young woman by the name of Vanessa Ives is seen praying in Latin. She then looks to become possessed before the scene cuts away. So, something that I didn't add in here was that she was, like, covered in spiders, so I don't know if there is some specific connection to that, or if she just, I don't know. We'll probably find out at some point. Vanessa is next seen at a Wild West show featuring Ethan Chandler, an American showman who knows how to use a gun and woo the ladies. The idea of a Wild West show in Victorian London is actually like kind of funny.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure. That had to have happened. You know, people traveled around and stuff like that. But it's just the idea of people being so amused by it. It's just like, yeah, this was like their way of life, and this is just like it's just like entertainment to them. Yeah, it's just interesting. Vanessa finds Ethan at the bar and calls him on his tall tales in the show. She is looking for someone not afraid of danger and who is good with a gun. She then makes some deductions about Chandler that steer true, and out of curiosity of Vanessa, Chandler accepts the night work without knowing what it is. Chandler and Vanessa enter an opium den, as one does. Where they meet with Sir Malcolm Murray. Murray warns Chandler not to be amazed by anything he sees and not to hesitate to use his weapon. They enter a basement in search of someone who was taken from Murray. He confronts a vampire while Vanessa follows the cries of a girl further into the darkness. Chandler joins the fray by shooting the attacking vampires. They do not find the girl they are looking for, but they do find a creature that seems to be transfixed by Vanessa before being stabbed from behind by Murray. The events angrily confuse Ethan, and who is invited to Murray's home to collect his pay tomorrow before Ethan leaves them. The rest of them take the creature's corpse to the resurrection men. They meet an originally unwilling man who is engaged in research and does not wish to help. Once he sees the corpse, however, he becomes very interested. Under the corpse's skin is a hard shell etched with Egyptian symbols. Chandler visits Sir Malcolm's home the following day. Vanessa tells him about the demimonde, a half-world between what they know and what they fear, a place in the shadows rarely seen but deeply felt. Vanessa tries to warn Chandler off, but he is curious about the situation. Vanessa tells him about Sir Malcolm's daughter being kidnapped by a creature, but refuses to talk about her involvement. She is incredibly mysterious and speaks of curses. Before he leaves, she asks him to pick a tarot card. He flips the Lovers. She makes no comment, but you get the feeling this pleased her immensely. Okay, so this is the question that I had for you.
Yes.
Do you believe in tarot cards?
So I do kind of have this history. My mom used to love freaking tarot cards.
Okay.
Like, not that she necessarily read them, but my mom was kind of this person, which is ironic because she was very devout Catholic.
That's
very
why
religious.
I'm having a tough time imagining this. But
so she was into dreams and
Gotcha.
Knowing what your dreams meant, and especially if she could vividly remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ask my sister, she could tell you that as well. And I've told you recently about some of my crazy dreams that I've been having. But she always had like random tarot cards, either that a friend would give her or that she would find somewhere. I'm just not a big believer in knowing the future. I'm like, your life is what it is.
Right.
I mean, I'm a big sliding doors person. Like if I go left, that's what's going to happen to me. But I don't know what would have happened if I had gone right. Instead. I obviously, because I went left. But anyway, so I knew about tarot cards really from a young age. I will also admit I used to play with them as well because I always thought they were very pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Like they just are beautiful. A lot of them have a lot of beautiful art on them. But going into like my teens, adulthood, college years, Ouija boards, tarot cards. I don't need to bring up the dead. I don't want to know the future.
Yeah.
It was just not for me. And a story that I had about it was I was in the French Quarter with some friends. It was during law school, but it was some of my undergrad friends. And one of them wanted to have her tarot cards read. And when she sat down, and I think she just thought it was going to be this beautiful, amazing reading, that it was going to tell her she was going to have an amazing life and have a great marriage and 10 children and make lots of money. I don't know really what she thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But when she sat down and the lady was reading her cards, I don't know what card exactly she got, but the lady was like, you are not going to be happy in marriage, and you were going to like not have many children or whatever. It was all negative. The whole rest of the night, she was crying. She was so upset that this was her tarot card reading and that she was just never going to be happy or find love. And what was a little kind of, I don't want to say ironic, or maybe it is ironic, was she actually did end up struggling in a marriage and an almost marriage, but she is happily married now. She has children. She has an amazing career, travels and whatnot. So to me, it really proved not to freaking listen to tarot card readers in the French Quarter. But moreover, to let it like specifically guide you.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what does that card being dealt meant anyway? So if you love them and believe them and, enjoy readings and being told what your future might hold, I think your future is always more in your hands than in a deck of cards. It also just reminded me of the Sex and the City episode when Charlotte goes to have her cards read and she gets a reading, again, very much like the one my friend got in the French Quarter, like she would never be married or have children. And then they were like, for $100, we can redo the reading. And so I was just like, see, it's like, they try to get from you what you're unhappy about. And then for an extra couple of bucks, they'll make it what you want it to be. So it was just, I get it. I understand if people believe in it and, or think that they're real. More power to you. It's just not anything that I have personally ever been like, I want my cards read. So what about you?
Well, before we talk about me, you obviously, to protect the privacy of your friend, you're not going to go into the full detail of the story about the tarot and about everything that happened to her out of respect for her, and I fully agree with that. But when you told me that whole story, I just want to talk about that real quick. When you told me that whole story,
the whole story
in full, in detail, and by the end of it, I'm not even exaggerating, I was like almost in tears. It was like one of the most beautiful stories I'd ever heard in my life, because it reminded me, not horror, but it reminded me of a movie called Under the Tuscan Sun.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like she won, Diane Lane, I'm pretty sure it's Diane Lane. Diane Lane like wanted all these very specific things, and she got them, but she got them in different ways. She got them in ways that she wasn't expecting, and that's what it reminded me of. And it sounded like something out of a book. It sounded like something out of a movie, but obviously it really happened. But it was just such a beautiful story, and I was just like, maybe one day you can have her permission, you can tell the full story. But like it like, I remember it was, you were telling me the story, and I was like, getting more and more into it. I'm like, don't stop talking about it. It was one of those.
Because I had told the story of like she had a failed marriage and then another relationship that went somewhat awry, and she was at a point in her life where, she wanted to be a mother,
right.
And it was things that we had talked about, and she was just like, I'm never going to be a mother, and I'm like, you can be a mother.
Yeah.
You don't have to be married.
You don't have to do things. You don't have to do things in a specific order.
And you can take charge of your life.
Exactly.
Of how you want it to be. And she ended up doing that. And then so things also transpired since then that she's married and she has another child as well. And she has an amazing career. And so I was just like, if like 27-year-old you, talking about her, like, could go back to the French Quarter that day, get that tarot card reading and go, whatever.
Yeah.
I hope she would. I mean, I'm not going to say she ruined the rest of the night for us because all she was doing was crying. But, that's why I'm like, who is this lady reading these cards?
Right.
And like, who knows? But yeah, it was when I was telling you the story, I could see like your eyes were like welling up, and there is a lot of beauty to her story because
it is something that could be turned into a movie very easily, or a book or whatever. Like, it was such a beautiful story.
And our friendship and relationship is very much like I am saying. She always knew she could come to me to like lay it down, like I'm just like, you don't have to be married to be a mother. Like, hi, FYI, there are sperm banks, there are donors, there like IVF, whatever it is. I'm like, that is just silly that you are, not having this thing you want because you think there's only one way to do it when there is absolutely different ways to do it. Adoption, fostering, whatever it might be. So it was, it really showed our friendship because she was just like, God, I can always come to you and know that you will just tell me what it is I need to hear.
I mean, who needs a tarot when you have friends that'll tell you like it is. Just got a notification from Amio telling me that Budapest awaits us.
Oh, hey.
Awaits you with his fantastic spas and creative flair. Just wanted to say that real quick.
Nice.
Okay, so my view on tarot. So as much as I love horror fiction, as much as I love supernatural horror and all of that stuff, I don't necessarily believe in it, and I think that's maybe why I love it so much. It's because like I would like for all of that stuff to be real. I've just never been given a reason to believe that it's real. I'm not saying that it's not, but like to me, tarot is like, if you're doing a tarot reading, in my mind, I'm like, you'd be better off just going to therapy. Because, I mean, like, that's all you really need, because, like, you're not going to get the answers that you want. And if you do get the answers that you want, you are most likely just being kind of cold read, and someone is just, like, mentalisting you. Like, they're just kind of, like, obviously when someone comes and gets their tarot read, they want something specific. Tarot readers know that. They look at maybe your age, your gender, if you have a ring on your finger. They're looking for something, and they're like, all they have to do is be like, you're here about your love life. That's probably like 90% of why people go to a tarot. Is like they want to know if they're ever going to get married. They want to know if they're ever going to have kids. They want to know if they're going to have a successful job. And, sometimes, like, it surprises me that tarot readers do kind of keep it real sometimes, and are like, or not keep it real, but they try to, be negative, or they tell you a negative thing that you're not expecting. But to me, if you are someone that really needs to get your tarot read or whatever, however you say it, you'd be better off going to therapy. I mean, like, you'd be better off just having someone...
Getting a life coach, I don't know.
Having someone tell you what you want to hear versus what you need to hear is, like, very different.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like tarot, maybe not so much. If you just go to, like, a straight-up psychic, I feel like they're going to just try and tell you what you want to hear. But with tarot, I don't know. I just can't believe in it. Like, I just can't believe in something like that, just because it just seems so far-fetched, and it just seems so, like, I don't know. I don't want to say, I don't want to offend anybody, because I know there are so many people out there that this is how they live their life, and this is like their lifeline, and like, I get it, but to me, it's just very, I hate saying silly, but that's the only word I could think of without being too insulting, because I have a lot of other words to describe it, but like, I just don't see how it's beneficial to someone. Obviously, anyone out there who's listening who believes in tarot, feel free to explain it to us. Yep. I will gladly. I'm a very open-minded person, but to me, it's just another form of, like, a crystal ball. It's just another form of, it's just another form of, like, telling you what you want to hear. And like you said in the Sex and the City episode, Charlotte didn't like it, so it's like, for another 100, I'll tell you what you want to hear. Like, now that I know what you want to hear, I'll tell you what you want to hear. Because most people don't know what those cards mean. I mean, you could just be like, oh, well, that means this.
Yeah. And the Queen of Hearts, and those are, like, some of the tarot cards. Yeah. Like the Death or whatever, all those. The
Fool from People Under the Stairs.
Exactly.
Yeah. But would you ever go to and get your tarot read, or go to a tarot card reader and do that?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone else was paying for it, maybe, but I'm not going to go to the Quarter and spend $50 to sit in a little...
Right. If we were, like, in a group and someone was like, I will pay to have everyone's tarot read, I'd be like, sure, I'll do it. But other than that, I've never had any interest. I've never had any interest in going to a psychic. I've never had any interest in doing that, just because I just don't, like I said, until I truly see some proof, because I think every famous psychic has been proved to be a fraud. So I believe there's such a thing as intuition. I believe in that. I just don't believe in someone can literally see my future.
Right.
I just don't believe in that.
Gotcha.
All right, let's get back to the episode.
All right.
Okay. So Ethan had his tarot read, flips the lovers. So Dr. Malcolm and Vanessa visit an Egyptologist, Ferdinand Lyle, to inquire about the hieroglyphics on the creature. He looks at the first image and says that it means blood curse. When he looks at the second image and he stops and stalls. He invites Vanessa and Sir Malcolm to a dinner party at his house. Before they leave, he tells them the writing is from the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Sir Malcolm invites the young man who did the necropsy for him to the Explorers Club. We don't know his name at this point, and that becomes very relevant later, although I think you can kind of figure out who he is. The man seems fixated on studying the boundary between life and death. Sir Malcolm is focused on finding a cure and asks the man to join him because he wasn't afraid. Sir Malcolm returns home, and the setting is quite eerie. The lights begin to flicker, and the sounds of a crying girl fill the room. Malcolm calls out for Mina, a character from Dracula. She is in the room crying for 1 second, and the next she is screeching, causing the lights to flicker and explode. Malcolm is shaken and talks about the incident with Vanessa. They are unsure why Mina would show herself like she did. Vanessa says it's all her fault because of her transgression. Vanessa goes to pray on the matter, but her cross flips upside down and spiders fill the wall. So more with the spiders. The young doctor returns to his flat where it seems he has been keeping a secret. In his secret lab, the doctor has been experimenting with electricity and reanimation. The power surges, and Victor successfully achieves his goal to reanimate a man. The monster and Victor are then seen standing in the lamplight, and Victor introducing himself as Victor Frankenstein. End of episode. Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yes.
I mean, I already knew. I'd already written all this out. I'd already written the first part of this out, so like I knew that Victor Frankenstein was going to be a character. But yeah, it didn't seem. I think without being told, I could have figured that out. Okay, so what did you think of this pilot?
I liked it. I don't think I ended it going like, oh my God, I totally want to keep watching, but I would keep watching. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I like all the characters and the concept. And so I vaguely remember the name of the show back from around 2014-ish.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't think I really knew what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why I don't think I watched it back then.
Yeah.
I think I heard Penny Dreadful and I just didn't know what that was. And so it was probably why I didn't watch it at the time, because I had Showtime and I was probably regularly still watching Showtime. I mean,
Big
Homeland,
Brother After Dark.
Big Brother After Dark, Homeland, The Affair.
Yeah.
I was watching Showtime, so it does surprise me that I didn't watch it, but that is probably how I knew about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those shows, like I said earlier, that I had heard about, but I had no idea what it was about. Yeah, I was totally into it. I was on I really wanted to watch the next episode to see what happens, just because of the way it ended.
We
and
can watch it tonight.
The kind of the setup. And then the show that we're doing next week, we've already started watching after the pilot. We've already started watching that. But, yeah, I really liked it. I really liked all of the how the characters all came together. I mean, all of these stories take place in Victorian London. So, I mean, like, if all of these novels are in the same universe, then they all coexisted together. There was a lot of supernatural events going on in Victorian London, but along with Jack the Ripper killing everybody. But yeah, like I liked I love Josh Hartnett. I've loved him since the Halloween H2O and The Faculty.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Virgin Suicides and all of those
Yes.
like early roles that he had. And I love that he has he'll kind of do all of these big budget movies and he'll always kind of come back to horror. Because that's what he started in.
Yeah, it is. That is kind of amazing that he does have that devotion to it.
Yeah, he did 40 Days and 40 Nights.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the movie?
30
days of nights. There it is. 40 Days and 40 Nights is the movie he made. The movie he made where he
doesn't have sex.
Where he doesn't have sex for Lent.
Yeah.
Both kind of funny that he was in both of those. But yeah, 30 Days of Night, which is like one of my favorite vampire movies. Didn't list that in my vampire movie list, but I absolutely love that movie. Technically based on a comic book, but yeah. And I love Josh Hartnett. I mean, to see Timothy Dalton in something is always a treat. I love that guy. He'll kind of pop up and stuff every now and then. I'm like, that guy's awesome. But yeah, it's on Prime Video and Paramount Plus. 27 episodes. I can't imagine it being a tough watch. It's very easy to get into if that's your style of show. Like I said, I'm down to continue watching it. They introduce more characters from famous fiction later on. I know there's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I know they bring in Dracula.
That's my favorite.
I know they bring mine too.
I forgot that one when I was talking about books.
I know that they bring in like a lot of characters from Dracula. They bring in Van Helsing. They kind of start
Renfield.
They do bring in Renfield. Like they do kind of bring in all of those. Was that your Peter McNichol?
No.
Who played Renfield in Bram Stoker's Dracula? I'm thinking of Dracula Dead and loving it.
I was thinking of the Renfield in Love at First Bite, because he would always be like, like he would be kind of.
I think we tried watching Love at First Bite and we didn't finish watching it. So
it was because of you.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely, that's one of my favorite movies. Is Love at First Bite.
Was it Love at First Bite we tried to watch?
Because that's where I get the nightlife disco scene is my potential wedding dance that we never did. But anyway,
I don't remember. I don't know.
We maybe did not try to watch that together because it's one of my favorite movies.
Now I'm trying to think of what it was. Anyway, all right. So you think that wraps up this one?
It does.
All right, this is going to be a little shorter of an episode compared to all of our others.
Which is kind of random because it's one of the longer episodes.
Yeah, but,
that's how it goes.
That's how it goes. All right, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right. 4, because it's an American UK, the American flag, the UK flag, the vampire, the monster, the book, the maps, the gun, the cards. It's not a tarot card, or they might have a tarot card, but the toilet, the window, the praying hands, spiders, the knife, the blood, plates, the crying emoji, the lamp emoji, and the lightning emoji. All right, well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.